Okay, so continuing my build with my Team Associated TC7 touring car kit, I'm going to take you through the roll bars. I'm going to do this in two parts, so I'm just going to show you how they fit to the car first, fit to the bulkhead, to make sure the action's free and everything's square, and then I'll show you how I de-tweak them when the car's finished and the wishbones are on. Okay, so first thing we're going to look at is I've put this section together, and I've sort of not paid much attention, I've just screwed it together basically, and you can see that the roll bar is binding up, it's too tight. There's play, you know, I've got the grub screws loose, there's plenty of play in the actual bar, but it still won't move up and down freely, and that's because it appears that this section here is too long and it's binding on the bulkhead. And you might think that, oh, that needs filing down a bit because there needs a bit of play, but the chances are it's just your bulkheads are not aligned properly. So what we're going to do first of all is just loosen everything off. So I'm going to loosen the plastic mounts off there, and I'm going to loosen off the bottom screws of the bulkhead. There we go. Right, so that's all now nice and free and wobbling around. Obviously everything's loose. Okay, so what I tend to do is I build this section, so I've got the bulkhead tops on. You don't necessarily need the diff in place, but the bulkhead tops on and the shock tower in place, so everything's, you know, held together square. Just loosen everything off, so everything's in, but it's not fully tight. Don't have the belts connected. I mean, if you've got a whole car built, you don't want to obviously take it completely apart. You can just take the lay shaft out or whatever, you take the diff out, just so that there's no tension, because obviously pulling on the belt is going to pull the bulkhead out of a line, so it's not going to build square. Okay, so first of all, we'll do these bottom screws back up. There we go. Right, and then that should be all nice and freed still. Yep. And now we're going to do the plastic mounts up. Okay, so we're just going to make sure we keep those square. I mean, they've got a locating pin, but there's still a tiny bit of play. So I just put my finger on it just to sort of keep it upright, keep it as close to perfectly square as you can. Same with that side. And you don't want to do those up too tight either, because you can distort the plastic and squash everything. Okay, so now that same part has got plenty of movement, you know, without having to file this down, because the bulkheads are now straight. So it's nice and loose, and everything's, you know, fitting better. So now we're just going to set the amount of play. Now another thing I see some people make mistakes with is they do these grub screws up too tight. So again, you end up with the stiff bar, or even, you know, not moving at all. You end up with a torsion bar. So the idea of the grub screws is just to eliminate the play. I mean, in the past we had different plastic mounts for different thickness roll bars. What we tend to have now is the grub screw. So when you change between the roll bars, you just loosen, for a thicker roll bar, you loosen the grub screw off, and for a thinner roll bar, you tighten the grub screw up just to remove the play. So what I tend to do is I do the one side up like that, so basically it's gripping it, and then I'll just keep backing it off until it falls under its own weight. And then I'll go to the other side and do the same. So just do it up until it holds itself in position, and then just back it off again until it falls under its own weight. There we go. Right, and then just feel the amount of play. So I can feel that one's got a little bit more play than that one. So what I'll do is back that one off a bit more and do that one up a bit more. And then check it's loose again still, and check it again. Yep, this one's still got a little bit more play. So we'll tighten that one up, back that one off, until you get it to this same amount of play, basically equal. And then you can just fine tune it. So I can tighten that one slightly, tighten that one slightly, still loose, tighten that one slightly, tighten that one slightly, still loose, and we've got very little play now. We can keep going, a little bit more, a little bit more. See, now I've gone slightly too far, it's just starting to bind up again. So just crack those off just a touch. There we go, and we've got virtually no play and a nice free action roll bar. Okay, check back later and we'll do the de-tweak with the wishbones.